The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass Podcast. This for UFC Fight Night Apex. Is that what we're calling these, Cody Saftic?
You know, well, we've been struggling for names for a while, Paul. We've been going through UFC Jacksonville, Jacksonville 2, Jacksonville 3. Now we're Apex. I don't know. The name is all over the place.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna, and just wait until we get to Fight Island. It'll be like UFC Fight Island 27. But yeah, obviously a little week off there, but we're getting back into the swing of things. We got this card this week. This is kind of the first card where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, yeah, this is a quarantine card. But there's definitely some spots along the way. We'll go through it all. Good news for everybody who listens to us for DraftKings advice. I got eliminated by 6 points thanks to that Edson Barbosa versus Dan Ige decision. Still think I won, but I'm not gonna, complain too much on Twitter. You win some, you lose some. I had some decisions I didn't think I won. That was the decision I thought I won. That's just the MMA game. You do this enough over time, you're gonna have your ups and your downs. I wanted to wish a happy birthday to PD Parlays at Pete Manziel. I mean, he was asking us when the show was gonna drop. I said Thursday morning. He said, "Wow, on my birthday." So I said I would make note of that. Happy birthday,
Yeah.
PD.
Shout out to Petey.
PD Parlays. Happy birthday to you. You have any thoughts before we get into this there, Cody, or should we just jump right in?
I just want to clarify to the viewers that normally Paul and I shoot, usually around noon, usually around 1, 2 o'clock. Those are work hours. We're shooting right now at 9:45. I've been drinking, all right? I played 18 today with my buddy Kev. I kicked his fucking ace. I'm feeling good. I've been drinking. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm going to shoot it to you straight. And then in the morning, it's like I'm going to say, geez, I wish I would have jumped into a little bit more of the analytics. But it is what it is, brother. So let's roll through it, and we'll get her done.
That's tremendous news. To be perfectly honest, you're gonna carry the show here because it's it's 9:30, and I'm unfortunately someone has to take care of all this like machinery and stuff. So I'm stone cold sober. It's horrible. I'm actually pretty jealous. So let's get into this. Maybe I can have some drinks after we're all said and done with this. We got Tyron Woodley taking on Gilbert Dorino Burns. Tyron Woodley, minus 175 favorite. Burns, plus 155. What do you think about this fight, Cody?
Okay, so again, shooting it to you straight. Let's go over my beef with Tyron Woodley. It's not that he's the most unpopular UFC champion of all time. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just literally you run through the fights and it's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. I'm going to go back to the Kelvin Gastelum fight. Kelvin Gastelum misses weight by 10 fucking pounds and spends the night in hospital due to a poor weight cut. He greased by a split decision with Kelvin Gastelum. Why that fight's still relevant to me is that he threw absolutely no volume in it. That was the start of a streak of he either knocks you the fuck out really fast or he throws absolute no volume. So despite the fact that Gastelum is in the hospital the night before the fight, Woodley lands 27 significant strikes through 3 rounds and wins a split decision. It's garbage. That split decision got him a title shot because Dana made some bullshit promise and he one punches Robbie. Again, goes back to that power. He does have power. We can't look away from this guy's genetic fucking gifts, man. He's a freak athlete.
Yep.
He moves tremendously well. The problem is that he has very high ring IQ, right? And that gets him a little bit in trouble because he's so smart in there. He's not looking to fight. It's like a bare knuckle boxing match. He's looking to pick his punches way too perfect, and they just don't land. So yeah, he fucking bops on Robbie. The first Stephen Thompson fight, it's 3-2 Thompson. Woodley drops him and gets a 10-8, but it's 3-2 Thompson. Thompson would have fucking otherwise beaten him had he not got dropped. Yep. Whatever. Second Thompson fight is perhaps the worst title fight in UFC history.
I don't even know if
it's
you have to say
perhaps. It's worse than
perhaps.
Kevin Randleman. Dude, and I thought Thompson won. If we're being 100% honest here, I thought Thompson won. But, you got to beat the champ to be the champ, and he certainly did not beat the champ. So Woodley retained. The Demian Maia fight is also in the conversation for top 5 worst fucking UFC title fights. you have ever seen. Again, it goes right back to that Kelvin Gastelum fight. He just doesn't let his hands go. And to Bop, the guy's a great wrestler. He's so athletic. He's so fast. He's got a great entry. He's got a great double leg, and he's very strong. He could muscle you to the ground. But he's got like this self-doubt in his own cardio that he will not push the pace. And as a result, he does not shoot takedowns. The guy hardly wrestles at all.
No.
So anyway, second Thompson fight sucks balls. Mayo fight sucks balls. Both those fights he wins, but they're very bad. Now, the Till fight is unbelievably misleading because Darren Till, to get to that fight, had beaten Stephen Thompson, and it was a bullshit fight, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he weighed in like 174.9. Like, he was too big to make welterweight. And when he made the welterweight limit, championship limit, he came in like 169. He botched that weight cut, and he was fucked. And this is the only time in UFC history have you ever seen a fight go almost 2 rounds, because it was like late in the second round that Woodley put him away. Darren Till landed 0 strikes. Because he was sick from the weight cut, because he had trouble making weight, he just didn't do anything. He didn't throw his hands, he didn't throw kicks, he didn't push any type of pace. So on paper, it looks like, oh, fuck, Woodley killed this guy. He went in there, he dropped him, he submitted him, showed off his ground game, showed off that big power. But it was just a classic Woodley performance. Just Darren Till happened to play into it. And then it comes down to the Usman fight. And you'll remember this one, right? Usman's like plus 165. Mm-hmm. And I am so unbelievably on Kamaru Usman that it's like, how in the world is Kamaru Usman a 165 dog to Tyron Woodley? Because I explain all the same shit I just explained to you. Like, I'm not sold on Woodley at all. He just doesn't do enough. And Usman's a guy that completely just pushes the pace. He's going to outstrike him. He'll wrestle him if he needs to. And the result is classic. And now you're getting the same price. And mind you, Woodley is fucking leaps and bounds better than Gilbert Burns. But again, it's another case of people just, I don't know. Tyron Woodley's a former champion. He's on TMZ. He's a great athlete. He's got one-punch power. You buy into it. But, like, the results are the results. And even though he's getting wins on paper, you watch the fights and they're not impressive. So what I decided to do is the current line's 165 Burns, right? Here's a list of guys that I would bet at 165 over Tyron Woodley. Obviously Usman, which I hit the fucking last time. Yeah. I would bet Colby Covington at 165 over him. I would bet George Masvidal at 165 over him. I would 110% guarantee that Leon Edwards at 100%, 165 Leon Edwards, no doubt about it. And you know what? This might sound disrespectful, but I would have an extra look. But Michael Chiesa, Vicente Luque, Santiago Ponzinibbio, and especially Jeff Neal, I would all consider them at 165 over Tyron.
Oh, you can taste. I can just smell. I can smell those takes off of you right now. That was. I don't know. I think you're stretching. You're stretching with a couple of those guys, I think.
You know what?
He hasn't looked good.
I'm telling you, I'm not stretching, right? Because he wouldn't take those guys down because he's not using his wrestling at all. Even if he did take them down, he doesn't have some legendary ground and pound, and he's not some legendary submission artist. So all him taking you down does is fucking waste a round. That he's just gonna burn himself. He doesn't have great cardio. He conserves way too much. Yeah. So obviously Leon Edwards kicks his ass. But when you get back to those other guys, maybe Michael Chiesa is a stretch.
It was the Chiesa. It was Chiesa that I was just like, this guy's sick. You are sick.
No, dude. Luque and Ponzinibbio and Jeff Neal.
I don't know if Ponzinibbio.
I mean, he's gonna play their stand up too long. Okay, so as much as I just trashed the shit out of him, I'm sure it comes out disrespectful. Those are my honest thoughts. Here's the one reason I'm gonna bet Burns 100%. But here's the one reason I'm not like raising on Gilbert Burns here. Is that the two things that Burns doesn't do well is going to play in well for Usman. Or sorry, with Tyron Woodley. Is that A, he has durability issues, like the later, and he has cardio issues. So Burns goes pedal to the metal. He goes pedal to the metal first round, first 2 rounds, first 3 rounds. He tries to go at it. He tries to finish you. If he finishes you, great. If not so great. The Gunnar Nelson fight's a prime example. He fights a brilliant fight through the first 2 rounds. But after that, you got a real idea of like, Jesus, guy, he's not built to go 5. He's not championship material. He's not going 5 rounds. You look at other notable fights in his career, same thing. Like the later the fights go, yeah, you know what? This guy maybe has a tight cardio issue. Woodley, meanwhile, he has a cardio issue, but he manages it extremely well because of the ring IQ. So even if Burns comes out hot fire and puts it on Woodley for the first 2 rounds, it doesn't matter. Woodley doesn't have durability issues.
No.
He's not putting much punch output. I don't think he's a great fighter personally, but he's not getting KO'd by guys. He's not getting submitted by guys.
No.
Fact of the matter is that Burns is not going to be able to take the fucking guy down. And if the fight stays standing, Burns will have success through the first 2 rounds, but it's a 5-rounder. And then that goes back to Burns' second issue. Cardio 1. Second of all, it's like he does get hit clean.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hurt this guy. And Woodley doesn't have to throw a ton of punches. He's just got to pick that one punch. And 5 rounds is built. 5 rounds is built for him. So fact of the matter is that the sharp bettors got on Woodley really hard and really strong. I'm not sure why, but they bet the shit out of him. So his price tag, even if you want to bet him, is way out of whack right now. You're almost forced into a Burns play. But instead of telling you I'm super confident in Burns because I don't like Woodley, it's like it might be a dog or pass. It's actually the definition of dog or pass. I ain't betting Woodley at 185. No chance on your life.
Mm-hmm.
Gilbert Burns 160. Yeah. Could I see him winning this fight? Absolutely. If I'm leaning dog, I might as well bet dog. And I'm leaning dog here on Burns. So I'll bet him. But this is no surefire lock. We're making mad money on the dog here at plus 160. This is a fight designed for Tyron Woodley. But if you believe me, you believe that Tyron Woodley is not the guy he's been made out to be. And at this point in his life, man, he's no spring chicken. He's an aging athlete. He's got a commentating job. He's got a TMZ job. He's already won a world title. He's 38 years old. And he just got absolutely pillar to post fucking whitewashed by the champion. There's no coming back from that shit. Remember you were talking about rematch? It's like, dog, there's no fucking rematch. What are you talking about? You can fucking smoke. It ain't going to go no different the second time. So at 38 years old, it's like, what's left for him?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Gilbert Burns fights 6 times a year. Like all the guy does is compete. So yeah, dog or pass. So I'm going to take Burns on this one.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. I think I'm more leaning towards the pass side of that. Yeah, I can't bet Woodley just because, yeah, as you were talking about, he doesn't throw enough volume. And if he gives up the first 2 rounds and he kind of stands with his back against the cage, as he tends to do, and just, stands there and waits for his opponent to come in but isn't able to clip him, like, it's very frustrating betting a guy who throws, like, 5 punches around. I can't be on board with that. I'll see how, like, the weigh-ins and stuff shake out this week. But yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be dog or pass for me. I'm not laying the chalk on Tyron Woodley. Let's move to the co-main event. I guess they're calling it the co-main event. We got Augusto Sakai taking on Blagoy Ivanov, minus 115. Sakai, Ivanov, minus 105. Went back and watched Augusto. All right, so I went back and watched Augusto Sakai versus Andrei Arlovsky. I kind of think that's kind of I know it was painful to go back and watch. But it's kind of a similar matchup if I really think about it, except Blagoy's obviously a more durable version of Arlovsky, I guess, and definitely more slow and plotting. But I think their styles aren't too far apart. I never really have a great read on Blagoy. The prices are always like kind of a pick 'em, and he always surprises me. I don't think I've ever really bet him, to be perfectly honest. I think this is another situation where Blagoy doesn't really throw enough. Averages 53 points per fight on DraftKings. Augusto Sakai, like he did against Arlovsky, is just going to win the fight on volume. So I don't mind Augusto Sakai minus 115 as a bet. What about you?
Yeah, you know what? So it's basically the bookies' version of a pick'em, right? They're giving you 115 each side. Like they're going to make their money on it. You got to pick what side you're going to be on it. And I'm leaning Sakai for sure. I'm leaning Sakai because of the upside on him. Is that this is a guy that's 29 years old as a heavyweight. He's a mobile heavyweight. He seems decently athletic. There's times in his career he's weighed in at 265, been a fat fuck. Mm-hmm. But his last time out, 258, looked pretty good. 6'3", he's got good size for heavyweight limit, but he moves well. And that's where I think that maybe he'll have better option against Ivanov. I go back to the Arlovsky fit, like you said. I don't compare Arlovsky and Ivanov just because Arlovsky's made a career out of this, again, mobile heavyweight. He's quick on his feet. He has no power at this stage in his career. So he just moves on the outside and just chips away at you, out-punches you. If you look at the fight versus Arlovsky versus Sakai, I don't know how you felt about it. I thought Arlovsky won. I mean, he outstruck him. He landed, maybe didn't land the better punches, but he out-punched him. And I thought Sakai gave a bad version of himself. And that's where I'm struggling with this pick mainly, is that Sakai is a tale of two fighters. Like throughout his career, he has been massively inconsistent. OG fans obviously remember him from his Bellator days, but even then, he's touted as an undefeated heavyweight. He's 9-0. He's the next big shit. And he has a draw against Dan Charles. It's like, whoa, dude, that's the first signs of him being no good. Then he loses to Chai Congo. Since then, he just kind of like fell off the map. And then all of a sudden he ends up on the Dana White Contender Series, gets a contract. Now he's in the UFC, beats Chase Sherman, split decision loss against Arlovsky, and then beat Marcin Tybura. Like, again, so the version of him that showed against Chase Sherman, it wasn't that he went deep into 3 with Sherman that I'm worried about. You know, the guy looked okay. Like, he landed a lot of strikes. Over significant strikes landed. His cardio checked out. He was throwing lots. It was a throwdown type fight. I liked him there. It was the fact that the immediate next fight against Arlovsky, he threw almost, well, didn't throw, but landed almost nothing. So what I'm going to associate that was just Arlovsky was too in and out for him. Like, he was just too much at distance. Tybura is more in your face. He landed on Tybura.
Yeah, that fight.
Ivanov's going to be in your face, but knocking Ivanov is going to be nearly impossible. Like, he has a cast iron chip. Motherfucker survived a stab to the heart. Not a fake story. Bulgarian nightclub. By the way, don't ever go to a Bulgarian nightclub. The fuck are you thinking? Stabbed in the heart, didn't kill him. This guy has beaten Fedor Emelianenko in a Sambo match when Fedor was Fedor, man, and has never been KO'd. So Augustus Sakai KOing him, I just don't see it. What he's gonna have to do is just be the mobile guy, stay on the outside, and they'll punch him. Can he do that? I do believe that he can. Ivanov, as much as like his little run here has been somewhat impressive, you can't deny he looked absolute terrible against Rothwell, but slightly edged him out.
I watched.
Tai Tuivasa was super green, not a great fight. The Derek Lewis fight, he relied on his takedown. So in this fight, if he doesn't get those takedowns, Sakai wins. If he can muster up those takedowns, great. I just don't think he will, because Sakai being 260 pounds is going to have too much of a base for him. He's not Derek Lewis, flops around. I think Sakai gets the job done. But fuck, man, you should probably pass this fight. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I'll take Sakai there. I every time I watch Ivanov, I'm just flabbergasted. I just don't understand like how this guy continues to win fights. I don't know. Obviously, he's tough as nails and refuses to quit. That's the real, like, he's super durable, super tough. He'll keep coming forward, and he definitely has 3-round gas. But I don't know. He looks so slow and deliberate. I just don't understand how he consistently fools some of the better heavyweights in the world. It's just doesn't make any sense to me when I watch him on tape.
Yeah, you know what, and that's why he's a pick'em. He's a pick'em in the spot. He'd be a pick'em against a lot of guys, I think, because again, I had Rothwell. Again, mind you, I'm 1-2. Ivanov last 3. I had Rothwell over him, and the whole time I'm screaming at the TV at Rothwell because Rothwell blows that fight. Could have won it. He blew that fight, and I'm the fucking moron that bet Tai Tuivasa over him. And Tai sucked that fight. But again, like, he had moments where it's like, what are you doing? But he blew it. The Derek Lewis fight, I bet Ivanov, and he probably lost. However, he got that fight. Or sorry, I bet fucking Lewis, and I thought Lewis lost. And sure enough, Ivanov loses. So it's like, it's hard to get a read on this guy. But you nailed it. He's very plodding. He stays in your face. And it's not that he's got great cardio. It's that he's so durable. He'll give you as much in the 3rd round as he's giving you in the 1st round. Mm-hmm. It's just, I think with Sakai being able to stay on the outside and pop away with this guy. And the last thing is, right, I know I don't talk about like the live crowd aspect a lot, but in the first fight, I can't guarantee you much in the first fight, the main event, but I can guarantee you this is probably the first fight in Woodley's last 6 that he won't get booed because there's no live crowd. And in this fight, Ivanov's little take a beating and then keep coming at you, and the crowd's getting into it, and 2 heavyweights just slug it out. Like, that plays well for a live crowd. In this like tight venue situation, it's a small cage. Sakai's just landing the better shots. You're going to hear them. Like, I don't know. It was probably a pass, but I guess because I got to give a pick on it, I'm going to take Sakai.
All right, we'll move on down the card then. And here's one that's really been troubling me, Cody. We got your boy, Billy Quarantillo, taking on Spike Carlyle. Now, here's the thing. We're in COVID-19 pandemic. Quarantillo basically sounds like quarantine. So, you know, Billy's probably ready for this. And you have Spike Carlyle, the alpha ginger. And everyone knows gingers were made for isolation. So this is a tough one. You have Quarantillo, who obviously has the better gas. I'm obviously joking about all that other stuff, but you obviously have Quarantillo, who's got the better gas tank, really, really high pace. When he takes you down, like I think last fight, he only had a couple takedowns, but like 9 advances. The guy's always moving when he gets to the ground. Spike Carlyle's never been submitted, but he has gassed quite a bit in some of his earlier fights. Obviously, he had the perfect elbow against Alon Cruz in his UFC debut. Hit him right behind the ear and closed the show pretty quick. Nice little finish for him. But what happens if you don't get that finish early? Because Billy's going to keep coming. Billy's not going to win in round one. I think this fight, for me, really looks like a really, really good live betting opportunity. It's like Carlyle maybe gets the best of Quarantillo in round one, but you can kind of see him fading a little bit. Maybe jump on Billy if the price is right. I don't have a hard stance on this one. I was hoping that you would, because these are kind of your guys. I don't know if Spike Carlyle is, but Billy is.
Talk about bullshit matchmaking, eh? Spike Carlyle comes through as a nice little dude in his 175 in his UFC debut, and we're fucking on Spike Carlyle, man. This guy, one thing, he's built like he's like a muscle car, man. His upper body is fucking jacked.
He's jacked.
He's so big up top. Yeah, and as a result, maybe he does have cardio issues because he's so big up top. Like, he generates a ton of power. But the flip side of that is, like, dude generates a ton of power, man. And he hasn't been particularly great throughout his career, but when you look at his last three, and he had jumped on my radar because of that LFA fight. He nails a spinning back fist over this Matthew Colloquin or something. Anyway, KO's him stiff. It's just like, Jesus Christ, like, the spinning back fist is wild. It's out there, but it just shows, like, man, this guy's got massive power. Next two fights, same thing. Alon Cruz is a little bit of a finesse fighter from the outside. Like, we figured Spike Carlyle would just, like, close the gap. Things that you don't see on paper, because he's got that big power, we get that. But, like, things you don't see on paper, he's a judo black belt, BJJ brown belt.
Mm-hmm.
So his ground game's not terrible as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he could be okay. But he's only half my boy. Billy, my boy.
Yeah.
Me and Billy go way back. God damn. I mean, he totally fanned out of the Ultimate Fighter season 22. But yeah, man, there's a lot of things to like about him. His cardio checks out, his ground game checks out, his heart checks out, his striking checks out. Obviously, issues. He's not a world champion here. He's not a world champion contender either. Issues is he's very hittable, and he gives up usually the first round. Because he can keep pouring it on you, I think he'll find a way. He's been KO'd in his career. He has lost fights in his career. But for the most part, it's like, I think it checks out. Like, Spike Carlyle could KO. If it does happen, it's going to happen in the first round. But I don't see it. Billy's an evolved fighter. And again, like, I have friends of mine that have trained with Billy, and they just rave about this guy as if maybe he is contender material. I don't see it at 31. He's got a lot of making up to do. A fight over Spike Carlyle does him no good, especially on a card like this.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to have to win this fight impressively and do something. However, when you look at the price tag on it, it's like, oh, geez. I mean, you can have Billy for 130. It's like, it seems to me like, you know, you got to go Billy. You got to go Billy. I see Spike Carlyle keeping the fight standing in the first round. They exchange punches. Spike Carlyle throws more power, but Billy throws more volume, and Billy just chips away at this guy. In the second and third round, either Billy finds a way or the fight ends up on the ground. Fight ends up on the ground. Billy takes it. 135. I get Billy.
Sounds good to me. We move on down the card. We have Roosevelt Roberts taking on Brock Weaver. Roosevelt Roberts is a minus 335 favorite. Brock Weaver can be had for plus 245. Brock Weaver, winner by disqualification in his UFC debut. I like the guy's personality. I don't think that this guy has the talent to fight at this level. Roosevelt Roberts is a guy who's had a lot of hype, maybe some of it a little bit too much, but I think he's developing, and he's got a decent skill set all the way around. I think if he gets this to the ground, he could really make quick work of Brock Weaver down on the mat, find some sort of choke, because like Brock got taken down immediately by Kazula Vargas, and if it wasn't that illegal knee, like he got, like that was about as clear cut of a 10-9. He's down around to start his UFC career. He wasn't getting back up. Once he was taken down, he was stuck against the fence the entire time. Like, the only reason he won that fight is because of the illegal knee. So I know the price seems a little bit stiff, but I think Roosevelt Roberts cruises here. Brock Weaver, I don't think belongs. I'm sorry, it seems mean, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, honestly, you're dead on it, right? And it's no disrespect to Brock Weaver whatsoever, none. I think you made a great point here too, right? Brock Weaver seems like a really good dude, and I say that because he got knocked the fuck out, got a win out of it, and was probably the only guy to be like, oh fuck, I lost that fight. Like, he understood he made a mistake in a fight and he got KO'd in a fight, and just because the ref was like, oh well, your knee was down, it didn't matter. Like, he knew what was up, and that's cool. But I bet actually Cazulo Vargas in that fight. And it was going back to the fact that I know Brock Weaver. Brock Weaver is a career journeyman. Now, my girlfriend is Native American. She knows all Native American fighters. We like Brock Weaver. Brock Weaver lays it down. But you go back to even his fight with Crazy Horse Bennett, the Island fight. It's a split. It's a split over a nobody. And Crazy Horse, one of my favorite fighters. You know that especially. Mm-hmm. He's 30-36. You hustled a split over him. Prior to that, you had won a split decision over Wesley Golden, who was also 7-9. So it's like he was fighting absolute bottom of the barrel. He lost to Joe Riggs in a bare knuckle boxing match. Again, my boy. I'm following the shit out of this guy. Him getting on Contender Series made no sense to me. Like, what are you wasting your time? He's plus 130 underdog. I went against him. He won. He proved me wrong. No fucking way Brock Weaver wins a fight in the UFC. Not gonna happen.
Maybe like CM Punk.
God damn it. He's well on his way to losing that fight. Let's be real here. Do you think if that knee didn't land, he was coming back and winning that? No. He's getting his ass kicked. Mm-hmm. But he gets the win out of it. So what are the fucking chances that Brock Weaver is going to win 2 fights in the UFC, especially back-to-back? Just like unheard of. And then with Roosevelt Roberts, is like, he's actually a good developing prospect. Like, he's only 26 and he's developing. And you can appreciate this more than anybody because you're one of the only sons of bitches I know who hit Vince Pichel at plus 200. But that's the kind of fights you need to lose on your way up. You know, that's a good gut check. It's a learning experience. You knew that was going to happen because Vince is a motherfucking brick wall.
He's the Swiss Army knife.
And he's just looked good since then. You know, he's made the developments. He's getting better. He's actually a lot faster than Brock Weaver. He's a better technical striker than Brock Weaver. Fight hits the ground, he's better than Brock Weaver. He's got the advantages all over. Yeah. 350 is a big price tag. No doubt about it, it's a fair price tag. But if I'm capping it myself, it's 500. Yeah. And come fight time, it might get to 500. Maybe. If you can get it for 350 now, it's parlay material. I think that, you know, it's not crazy to think Roosevelt Roberts is getting a W on Saturday.
Yeah, that all makes sense. We got Mackenzie Dern taking on Hannah Cifers. Cody, explain this one to me. We got Mackenzie Dern coming off of... I mean, Amanda Ribas is a much better athlete all the way around than Hannah Cifers. But, you know, Dern was like a minus 200 favorite against Hannah Cifers. Or, sorry, against Amanda Ribas. Now she's a minus 435 favorite. Cifers is plus 365. With Mackenzie Dern's career in MMA, at least once she got to the UFC, I know she's only got the one loss, but she has looked very dodgy in other situations. I don't know how you get up to this price tag at minus 435. Like, it's dog or pass. I never bet on Boomhauer before here. We'll see how things shake out during the week because it's at strawweight, and we know Mackenzie Dern struggles to do that as well. I don't know. There's a lot of red flags here. I'm definitely not laying the chalk on Dern, though. I'll tell you that much. What about you?
I mean, in my current state of mind, I think you fucking lay the chalk on Mackenzie Dern. Like, it's parlay material again. If you're looking to put a parlay together that's 2 chalk favorites, then Roosevelt Roberts and Mackenzie Dern are obviously your plays. Listen, Mackenzie Dern obviously struggles to make the weight. It didn't look good against Amanda Ribas, but again, that's a lot of recency bias. Like, Ribas at the time wasn't who we thought she was. Imagine this, dude. She's a plus 140 underdog to Emily Whitmire, of all fucking people. Beats Whitmire, and then is a 185 dog against Dern, because people love Dern. And she beats Dern. And then against Marcos, who's a perennial contender. Not a world champion. Let's get that straight. A perennial contender. Yeah. Always fighting the best girls. Always at the top echelon. She comes into that fight as a minus 400. Yeah. Based on the win over Mackenzie Dern.
The odds never make sense.
So right there, it's like, no, it jumps around all over the place. But I think for Dern, a lot of people were like, oh, she got exposed because she lost as a big favorite. She came in undefeated. She had a lot of hype. And there was a lot of haters, you know. I hate using that term because it's fucking stupid as fuck. But there's a lot of people that just don't like her, right? Like, either she's missing weight and it's easy to get on her, and that
I mean, it's a fake Cody. It's a fake Cody. It's a fake accent.
The fake accent. Oh my God. How could you not harp on her for the fake accent?
It's so
right?
fake.
That's just ridiculous. And it's the dating Tinquinho Mendez, and then she's dating some surfer guy, and then she's having a kid, and she was always a jiu-jitsu ace, and she's talking about MMA, and I get it, and this and that, but I mean, listen, Paul, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about style clashes. Style clashes is she wins this fight all day. Hannah Cifers couldn't get up from Angela Hill being on top of her. Now let's reiterate that.
Yeah, but Mackenzie Dern can't wrestle.
Not picked for the weight class. Yeah. You know what? If she gets stood up and she gets bopped up for 3 rounds, which is Hannah Cifers' path to victory all day, then yeah, I get it. But you know what? She's developed her striking enough that she's going to throw heat and it's going to create a scramble. And it's the same way that she couldn't strike against Bobby Cooper. Bobby Cooper's got a boxing background. Bobby Cooper's punches a lot cleaner than Mackenzie Dern. But it's when you're that good on the ground, you throw reckless and then you lead a scramble. Once you hit a scramble, you get the fight to the ground. That's where I see this fight taking place. I think her striking's developed enough that Hannah Cifers is not some world-class striker, by the way. She's probably on paper a better striker. I will give you that. And she's cast iron, the pitch is tough. I'll give her that too. But submission defense, you got pounded out from the ground from Angela Hill. If Dern gets this fight even once to the ground, you think you're getting them hips off you? No fucking chance. She is very, very top heavy. She just got to get the fight to the ground. And in this setting where it's not huge pressure, Dern should excel in that setting. Because again, Hannah Cifers is a big crowd type girl. It's the third round and you're drinking Bud Lights. You're drinking Bud Lights and you're cheering and you're like, fuck yeah, and Hannah Cifers fucking keeps marching forward. But in an empty arena, dog, Dern's just gonna get her down, establish position, hear everything her corner is telling her, and put this shit away. It's got to be Dern. You can't go Cifers. If you want to pass,
listen,
but you can't go Cifers.
Here's a take, and this is going to kind of sound mean. Hannah Cifers, anytime they've given her the microphone after a fight, clearly has crippling anxiety. She just, that's why I call her Boomhauer. It's pretty cruel, to be perfectly honest, but I'm kind of an asshole. There's no crowd, so she's not going to have anxiety. This could be the best performance of her life. I want to counter
that with a point when you're done.
I mean, that's the point. She has crippling anxiety. Now there's no crowd. Maybe she's this is going to be the best performance of her life. That's why I would be hesitant. Hannah Cifers seems like someone who thrives in isolation. Now you can go.
Okay, I'm going to counter with this, right? Normally, I think you're right, Paul. That's not a bad theory. It's not greasy enough for my liking. Here's a bigger theory, dog. What's more pressure? Straight up. This is a straight up question. What's more pressure? All these people being like, ma, 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 ma. You don't really hear anything going on. It's just noise, a lot of noise. But that crazy crowd, that's big pressure. Or being on the ground with Dern's big fat ace on top of you, and then hearing Brandon Fitzgerald and Paul Felder being like, oh yeah, she's fucked. Yeah, she's getting a lot of trouble from here. That's pressure. When you can hear the people talking about how you're fucking up. Heat of the moment, you're throwing hands. It's damn, whatever happens, happens. But when it's going to be a precise tactical matchup, I'll tell you something, dude. And I've been to high-profile grappling matches all over the world. This happens routinely. There's one mat, and you have a coach, and your coach just talks to you through the position. That's all. That's what jiu-jitsu is. Jiu-jitsu is not a fight, because in a fight, you can barely hear your corner, and buddy's throwing hands at you, and it's a completely different ballgame. This open setting of not having a crowd there. And also, because it's at the Apex, they're going to the 20-foot cage from the 30. It's a small cage. It's not the big cage. So there's going to be less room to run around effectively, right? Fair. And that's going to affect a few fights. That's going to affect a fight like Caitlin Chookagian, who likes to use all of the room. That might affect a fight like Sakai. Sakai, if he can't get away from Ivanov and Ivanov gets the takedown, geez, that's a game changer. It's going to affect some fights. When I think of Dern and Cifers, I think at some point, Dern's going to get a hold of her. It's going to create a scramble. She's going to create that opportunity. Is she a mega lock? No. At 450, I think that's the highest price tag you go on. But I'm not. I don't see Cifers winning this fight. It's dog or pass. Sorry, it's favorite or pass if you want to parlay or chase that added money. But it's been steamed to the price that it should be at. But Dern is the pick.
All right, let's move on. We got Antonina Shevchenko taking on Caitlin Chookagian. Shevchenko minus 135, Chookagian plus 115. I think it was Mike's MMA Picks dropped this stat up on Twitter. And I don't have it right in front of me, so I may be a little bit off on it. But I think Caitlin Chookagian is 0 for 17 in takedowns in the UFC. I mean, that's a bad stat for how you win this fight. I mean, she could be. I think it could be very, very competitive on the feet, but like Antonina's hanging around with the champion who literally just fought this girl, knows everything that she has to do. She's not able to do exactly what Valentina does, but she's gonna have a good idea. I'm sure Shevchenko can like emulate Chookagian's style pretty much to a T, even with a bunch of yes and stuff like that. I'm sure that's just going on every single day with their little traveling nomadic fight club that they have there. I like Shevchenko here. I think the line is kind of more representative of like recency bias. We saw Modafferi, who never gets any sort of respect, absolutely just walk all over Shevchenko, but she did it with wrestling. If Caitlin Chookagian, I know that she's got like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but if you can't get the fight to the ground, then what good is it really? So I actually kind of like Shevchenko to get the W here. What about you?
Yeah, again, this is another close fight that could go either way. I could see you making a very strong, valid case for either side, but I'm going to go with Chookagian just based on, I'm going to hope volume. Speed, I think I'm going to give a slight advantage to Chookagian. I think there's no denying that Valentina Shevchenko is a more credited kickboxer, obviously with the Muay Thai background. And as far as the actual striking style goes, like it's more my preferred type of style. You know, she's heavy. She's got big, heavy leg kicks. She's got decent. She has no power. She throws like she sets her feet and wants to throw a delivering shot. But I mean, when you look at the results, they speak for themselves. She's just not huge on the power punching ability. That's the main key between her and Valentina. Again, Valentina, someone who a lot of people criticize for her finishing abilities as well. Mm-hmm. But just like when it came time to dance, it was like, geez, she can put you away.
Yeah, once she came down to 125, it's just like, okay, it's a different story. She was fighting people who are way bigger than her when she's at 135 and wasn't getting any finishes for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, meanwhile, I think a lot of people were introduced to Antonina, who's the sister of Shevchenko, through Dana White's Contender Series. And she got a finish on Contender Series. So there's an impression of, oh, man, we've got older sister. They train together. They're the main training partners. We've got another future world contender challenger at the very least. But that's not the case. Like, the majority of her Muay Thai fights went the distance. And as far as her MMA record, that was actually her first TKO. She hadn't really knocked out anybody prior to that. The fight with Quarantillo, she showed off a little bit of ground game. But again, that's not how this fight's going to go. Chookagian has a better ground game. It's a result of who's going to win these striking exchanges. When I look at Antonina Shevchenko, I think she's at best, maybe in a 3-round striking affair, she's looking to land 60 to 80 strikes. I'm putting that at her range. Mm-hmm. And if I with Chookagian, who's naturally harder to hit, I'm putting her range at 40 to 50 significant strikes landed. And where Chookagian punches a whole lot of air, she does land pitter-patter type strikes. So now we're relying on the 3 judges' cage side. We're looking at 3 people and their subjectivity and how they're looking at it. Are they looking for that ha? Caitlin Chookagian technically glanced 3 blows here, whereas Shevchenko maybe landed 1 counter. How do you know? You can't know. So it comes down to this is dog or pass. This fight is 50-50. This fight is competitive, and I could legitimately see it going split decision, right? I know that sounds stupid because, like, I think it's going to be a Chookagian decision. If I'm me 3 times, it's a Chookagian decision. But what I'm saying is it's going to be close. Mm-hmm. So it's a flat-out dog or pass. It's plus 110 for
plus 150.
Well,
yeah, close enough.
Again, relative, it seems pretty close on. But if Antonina Shevchenko, okay, didn't have that last name, you just took her body of work minus the last name. Caitlin Chookagian's just fought for the title, has fought all the best girls in the division, is established. You know what you're getting out of her. Whereas Shevchenko is just like all over the map. She fought a lot of soft competition. She lost to Modafferi, who absolutely dominated her on the ground.
Yeah. And
then she picked up a winner of Pudilova, Pudilova seems really tapped out these days. Like, I know she just got released, but she's just not fighting up to her, you know. And then when you look at Shevchenko, it's okay. She's 35 years old. So, like, is she going to get any better? Like, no, she's regressing as an athlete. She's regressing as a fighter. She's not her sister, but she has the last name. That's not enough for me, especially as a favorite. So I have to take Caitlin Chookagian. I think that is good. It's 100% going to decision. Well, actually 100%, 99% going to decision. And I think Chookagian ends up getting that split. or hopefully getting the unanimous. But I would take Caitlin Chookagian in that spot.
All right, we are on the opposite side of that one. We move on down. We've got a late replacement. We have Daniel Rodriguez taking on Gabriel Green. The odds on that are Rodriguez minus 350, Gabriel Green plus 260. This fight is going to be a real focal point at the end of the show. Look in the description. We have like our DraftKings breakdown and stuff. This is like the question of the slate when we get to that part of the show. Rodriguez looked pretty good against your boy, the Dirty Bird Tim Means. Able to clip him at the end of round 1 and kind of finish the job in round 2. Good performance against a proven veteran. Gabriel Green, I don't actually know all that much about, but you're usually pretty familiar with these guys on the regional scene. I did not get in too deep on Gabriel Green yet with him getting just added to the card like last night, basically. I guess 2 nights ago for anybody who's listening right now. The real question will become DraftKings because it's Daniel Rodriguez is going to be 7,300 and there's no price for Gabriel Green at the time of this recording. Is Daniel Rodriguez parlayable though, Cody?
Parlayable, no, for the strict reason that what Gabriel Green brings to the cage is just like sheer power. Like he's got a great finishing ability. I mean, the majority of his wins, all of his wins. I think he's 8-2. He's 9-2. All 9 of his pro wins are by way of finish. So like his path to victory would be catching with Rodriguez with something and putting him away. So in that regard, I do love Daniel Rodriguez. But yeah, this is, I wouldn't say tailor-made for Rodriguez to win, but like all the chips are in his favor. I mean, Rodriguez is a guy that coming in, I'm a bonehead on this. I think we could both in the same boat. He fought Tim Means, and we fully talked about this guy. Means should kick his ass all day. Means is a better striker. Means has got all things. The one thing Means doesn't have is durability. Like if you take his shots and you go a couple rounds with him, and you can get this fight until later, then you make him pay drastically. Mm-hmm. And that Daniel Rodriguez was a tough guy with a great jiu-jitsu base. I mean, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. His grappling's really good, but he's tough enough standing that he'll stay with it. And he literally knocked Means out cold right at the end of the first round. He's losing the first round, but he stays in it long enough. He lands that shot. Second round, Means is already basically out on his feet. He hurts Means, obviously, and he gets a submission victory. But again, it's like there's a lot to like out of this guy. He's not young, but we've seen already it's probably like a polished version of this fighter. Whereas Gabriel Green's still green. He's still green is green. He's still developing slightly how it is. But you look back to both of his pro losses, Paul, right? He lost to Jalen Turner in 36 seconds. He lost to his first pro loss as first round knockout. So both of his pro losses on his record are both first round knockouts. Mm-hmm. The rest of those runs, same thing. He beat Leon Shabazian, or I think he's the older brother. Anyways, the less successful of the two, of course. But he beat Leon Shabazian, again, with that knockout. The rest of his run, same thing. He's clipping guys. He's getting the knockout. Here's where he's going to run into issues. The guy's a natural 155-pound fighter, right? So you look at basically, I remember him from Kabache. Again, 154 pounds he weighs in. Yep. Gets the victory. His last fight, he takes a catch weight of 160. That's about as big as this guy gets. I would say he walks around probably at 170, 165. Cuts 10 pounds. Sure, no big deal. Rodriguez is a natural welterweight. Not only that, but Rodriguez was supposed to fight Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland absolutely took 0 damage against Anthony Hernandez, so they rebooked him right away. So think about Kevin Holland.
All of a sudden, Kevin Holland did he get hurt? Did he get hurt training in between or something? What happened with him?
Dude, honestly, I have no idea.
Get drunk and fall downstairs, and we just didn't hear that end of the story because we all watched that fight. It did not look like there was very much possibility for Kevin Holland to get hurt.
No, yeah, that's what I'm not understanding. And then here's a bigger thing that I'm not understanding as well, right? Kevin Holland, nowhere, impossible, never going to fucking happen. Does Kevin Holland make 170 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. Especially because he just fought at 185 pounds a fucking week ago, right? So was Daniel Rodriguez going to fight him at 185?
I'm looking on Tapology.
And then when Kevin Holland got hurt, right? When Kevin Holland gets hurt, they were probably like, "Oh, do you want to fight?" I don't know. Maybe he offers to fight at 170 instead.
It says main card.
Well, he's at 170.
Maybe there's some confusion here because It does say on at least Tapology that it says 170 pounds. Like, maybe that's what's wrong with his shoulder.
It's a welterweight. This is what I'm thinking.
That's what
it's a welterweight fight between a guy who is going to fight at middleweight versus a guy that usually fights at lightweight. That's what I'm thinking it's coming down to. I want Daniel Rodriguez.
Maybe
I got Daniel Rodriguez.
It says
he's a 1-0. He's a 1-0 unproven guy, and he's a big price tag.
Yeah.
That's your buyer's beware.
Fair enough. All right, let's keep on moving. We got Jamal Hill taking on Klidson Abreu. Hill -120, Abreu +100. Watching Jamal Hill's first fight against Darko Stosic in the UFC. I mean, he got taken down 6 times. Now, when he got taken down, like, he's pretty good about, locating the head, pushing the head down, and getting back to his feet. Stosic wasn't able to do very much with those takedowns. And Stosic, as we know, basically throws no strikes in between. But, and Hill threw, I think, 258 strikes in that match. He landed like 80. So he's landing at like a 30% clip. He's super long. He's got 79-inch reach. I could see him fighting from the outside. And I can see him landing a whole bunch of jabs on Abreu. What I don't see is the power to back Abreu up. I know Abreu's had a tough run. Like that fight against Ankalaev, like he got his face mashed while he was taking on Ankalaev. As would Jamal Hill, I believe, if he took on Magomed Ankalaev. That guy's a freak. Obviously, Paul Craig, that absolute fluke victory is the only real blemish on that guy's career. He looks like the real deal. I think Abreu, despite giving up a lot in physicality, he's a lot smaller. Abreu kind of has the frame, I believe, that he should be at middleweight. Not fighting at 205 pounds. He's definitely giving up a lot of size, but I like his chances against Hill here. I know Hill can definitely win on volume here, but if Klidson Abreu can do if he can land a couple takedowns and secure top position, I think he's going to just ride it out from there. What about you?
Yeah. You know what? I've been having trouble gauging Klidson Abreu because I like him a lot coming into the UFC. And again, he's got this nickname, the Russian Tear. And I'd watched his M1 run. It's like, fuck, man, this guy, when you go to Russia and you're beating Russian prospects, or good prospects, by the way, these aren't bums, beating good guys. It's like, damn, this guy's for real. Now he comes to the UFC and there's like, Magomed Ankalaev is above a Russian prospect. The guy's actually really fucking good. He has that Paul Craig love. Yeah, as you mentioned, that'll never leave him. That'll literally haunt him to the day he dies. It'll haunt me too, because I had a bet very heavy.
Oh, that's painful.
C'est la vie, 1 second left. Son of a bitch loses to the most Russian fucking kryptonite move of all time, the fucking triangle choke. Anyways, let's not talk about that. That's a tough debut, man. And you know what? Since then, he beat Sam Alvey. That's a gimme. Well, again, not a gimme, but he didn't look great in that fight, by the way. And then the Shamil Gamzatov fight. So, again, they're giving him a lot of – put it this way. This is crazy enough to me. He loses to Ankalaev. Then he loses to Shamil Gamzatov. And this fight wasn't initially Jamal Hill. It was Antigulov, Gazmarat Antigulov. So it's like, man, just because he's got a nickname that's the Russian Tear and he fought some Russian guys, like, why do they keep bucking him against these Russian guys? Antigulov would have been a much easier matchup. But let's not go there. What I'm getting at is, like, I'm having trouble gauging Abreu because even though I think he's good, he's not getting particularly great matchups and he's not giving a great version of himself, so to speak. So it's, it's hard to really get behind him and say, oh, he's going to walk through. The problem with Hill is, I don't mind Hill as well. The biggest thing that hits him is that 79-inch reach, 6'4", southpaw stance. He stays on the outside and just chips away at you.
Keeps those hands
but for a guy that's
though.
that big,
Keeps his hands really low.
Big,
makes me nervous.
I think that he's going to give up a takedown. When he gives up the takedown, I don't think at that being that long, that ranging, being that, just generally taller, you're a big, long guy, it's harder to get up off the ground. And I'm really hoping, because it's going to come down to Abreu. It's coming down to, is Abreu going to commit to a takedown style game plan? Yeah. Or is he going to stay on the outside and get chipped off and then eventually commit to something? Because he's going to lose that fight all day. But he couldn't take down Ankalaev. There's no shame in that. He does have a takedown over Sam Alvey and Shamil Gamzatov. Now, keep in mind, Shamil Gamzatov's undefeated was a highly touted prospect.
And nobody takes down Alvey.
More than fucking human.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody takes down Alvey. Yeah, when you take him down, he pops right back up. So those takedowns mean something to me. Whereas Jamahal Hill is going to have trouble with the takedown. That's what I'm basing. I'm thinking that Abreu's going to get a few takedowns, and when he gets the takedown, that's where it'll be hard for Hill to scramble, get back up. Again, it's dog or pass. This is plus 105. Like, it's hardly even dog money. But I got to say, Clinton Abreu, not fighting Russian motherfuckers, usually comes out on the other side. Look at his UFC run. He's 1-2 in the UFC. He's lost to the Russian guys. His win was when they booked him against a non-Russian guy.
Mm-hmm.
So non-Russian guy here, get that W. I'm thinking Abreu, it's not going to be the prettiest of events, but he's plus money. It's a relatively close fight. If you get the job done, we'll be happy.
Yes, sir. We got Tim Elliott taking on Brandon Royval. Tim Elliott minus 165. Royval is a plus 145. This fight has potential to just be an absolute scrambling mess. I watched Royval's last couple of performances, especially his last one against. Last name is like Williams. I forget the first name of the guy that he took on. But yeah, he just comes out, throws a flying knee out of the gate, and I guess he has so much confidence in his guard. He has a very, very he's sneaky guard. Really, it was fun to watch. I don't know if it's like the highest level of fight IQ to be doing that, but hey, if it works for him, it works for him. Able to get the finish or the submission, he goes from like triangle to omoplata to armbar. Like it was pretty impressive stuff. He did that all in the course of a couple seconds. It's on Fight Pass if you want to search that up. And Tim Elliott loves getting into those scramble fests. Obviously, he's been caught in like some guillotines and some chokes and stuff like that before. I'm going to lean on the veteran here, who I believe was getting ready for this card for a while, whereas Royval coming in pretty short notice. Give me Elliott, but honestly, it's hard for me to bet him after what I think he was like super, super stunned and probably super concussed, but like round 3, and I had money on his last opponent. Askarov. I had money on Askarov, and round 3, that fight was pretty dicey until round 3, and Elliott's just walking forward with his hands down, just eating shots, literally handing my boy and my bet over to me, which I was happy at that time, but it's a little bit of a different story when you're asking me to bet minus 165 on a guy I don't really trust to stay to script. He may just get into a scramble fest and get caught in something, because Royval does, for like all of his wild shit that he does seem to have finishing ability with that submission game. So pick is Elliott, but I don't think I can get to minus 165 as a bet. Could be an interesting DraftKings play if it turns into a scramble fest, though.
It could be very interesting. And we talk about that every time we talk about Tim Elliott. It's like, man, the guy's upside as a DraftKings play is unbelievable, because the sheer amount of scramble that he's going to get into, takedown, transitions, back up, pop back up, couple strikes, takedown. It's just like it adds up very quickly. He's been a fan favorite on the DraftKings side for a long time. The other problem with Tim Elliott is that he's massively inconsistent. Mm-hmm. For as many talents as the guy has, and he is very talented, he's super unfocused. Like his 15-10-1 record is a great indication of that. Because again, this is a guy that fought tooth and nail against Demetrius Johnson in a world title fight, won a round, but gave him a good fucking fight is the bottom line of the story. And yet he's a massive journeyman. And at 33 years old, it ain't getting any better for him. And I know he's relocated to Vegas, but that's not a great thing. Like, he had a little run going there with James Krause and the guys at a Glory Fitness in Kansas, where he's probably focused. But then he went to Thailand, and it was like, fuck, man, this guy seems like he's just not there
partying,
anymore. Yeah, and then he's back from Thailand, and he's in Vegas. And I always tell that story like I ran into him. The guy's a fucking zombie on this fucking strip. It's just like, the fuck, dude. And he's dating
Gina Mazzani, yeah.
Dave Mazzani's sister, Gina. Yeah, it's just like, holy fuck, dude. Dirty Dave Mazzani's sister? Like, anyways, Gina's actually not bad looking. Big schnoz on her, but not a bad looking gal, actually. Anyways, all I'm saying is that his run has kind of been an indication of that. Like, he hasn't been fighting particularly well. Nobody thought he was going to lose to Ben Nguyen. You know, he comes in as a minus 215 favorite over Ben Nguyen and got submitted in the first round. 49 seconds he got submitted from Ben Nguyen. Mm-hmm. Not really known for his grappling. Good grappler, by the way. But not really known for his grappling. But just like, he laid a total goose egg as a 2-1 favorite. You know, the Mark De La Rosa fight, again, he's a 225 favorite. We expect him to win, and he does win. But since then, like, it's no shame. Davidson Figueiredo and Askar Askarov, it's the current flyweight champ and the top 5 contender. Like, okay, dude, pretty fucking tough run. He should walk out there and put it on Royval. My problem is that Royval is that 27-year-old up-and-coming kid who's been proving himself. I didn't like him at the beginning of his career. He used to fight for Combate Americas. I worked a couple of those. And, yeah, I just didn't think he was all that good. When you look at his run since then, it's like he's a developing fighter. Nate Williams, I don't take any credibility. Yeah, whatever. It's an early submission, like you're saying, 23 seconds or whatever it was. Nate Williams is like 5 feet tall. But Nate Williams is a good grappler. He wrestled collegiately. And, the guy is a decent grappler. The win over Joby Sanchez. Joby Sanchez fought in the UFC. He's fought in Contender Series. He's a former Greg Jackson guy. He wrestled collegiately. He loses the big fight, whatever. But again, like, he's beat incredible guys. Again, Jerome Rivera, it's an injury. Jerome Rivera was a top prospect. He's not looking to take any shortcuts. He's looking to do it the right way. Now he's in the UFC and they're behind him, and it's all systems a go. Where I would definitely either see this as a pass or a bet it, whatever, is that it doesn't make sense for Royval. If you're thinking about his career, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? He actually had a fight scheduled with Jerome Rivera, a rematch, because he already beat Rivera. It's a rematch on Contender Series, and it's in like a month. So they need a guy, and they recall him to fight on a UFC card. Oh, geez, you know what? Fuck Contender Series. You give the contract now, and you'll fight a guy. And your first fight is a guy who's a 25-fight veteran. He's got 10 fights in the UFC.
Title challenger.
He won the Ultimate Fighter. He fought Demetrius Johnson in a 5-round title fight where, he fought tooth and nail.
After winning the Ultimate Fighter, yep.
Yeah, and his last 2 fights are over the current fucking champion, or interim champion, whatever. Henry's never going back down. Figueiredo's a real champ.
Henry's retired. Henry's retired.
Right. Henry's retired for now. If he comes back, it ain't at 25. Guarantee you that.
No.
And then over Askarov. And by the way, dude, and I had Askarov bet pretty big. After 2 rounds, I was shitting my pants. 3rd round, thank God Elliott blew it for himself.
Yeah.
But I was shitting my pants. How does a guy that's not fought once he's fighting for a contract fucking a week ago, he's scheduled to fight for a contract, is not fighting Tim Elliott? It makes no sense. But Brendan Royval, his whole career, he's been at a Factory X Muay Thai in Colorado, right? He's a longtime Mark Montoya guy. And those guys work closely with Tim Elliott and James Krause. James Krause has spent time at Factory X, a lot of time at Factory X, actually. They're all very familiar with each other. And that's where I think those guys got Tim Elliott's name on a contract and we're like in. Whereas Tim Elliott, I don't know what the fuck he's been up to, but I can guarantee you he needs the paycheck. So I don't know. It's buyers. If you're on Elliott, I'd be sweating. Yeah. Should he be the favorite? Yeah, we just talked about all the experience. No doubt he should be the favorite, but he's fucked up in similar spots before. He's not trustworthy. I wouldn't put my money behind him in the spot. That's all I'm saying.
The only guarantee in that fight, Cody, is that Mark Montoya is not throwing in the towel, clearly.
No, never.
If he dies, he dies.
He dies.
All right, we got Casey Kenney taking on Louis Smolka. Casey Kenney is a minus 265 favorite. Smolka plus 225. Mike's MMA picks again. Putting out the good content this week. He posted a picture of Louis Smolka. I don't know if he posted to his Instagram or something. Smolka's looking pretty jacked. Like, I know this is up at 135. Smolka was a career 125er. Struggled at that weight class. We saw some bad weight cuts from him. He looked very healthy, and he looked like he had a very, very visible six-pack. He was looking thicker than he ever had in his life. Casey Kenney's been really good. His grappling's great. He was able to negate Ray Borg, who I think is a better overall grappler than Louis Smolka, at least when you factor in the wrestling and all of that. I think Casey Kenney should be the favorite here, but minus 265 is, especially when I saw that picture of Smolka looking the best I've ever seen Smolka look by a long shot. I think the price is a little bit too wide for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, pricing is definitely way off. Like, Louis Smolka brings it. And where Louis Smolka is, he's not a Tim Elliott, but where I'm going to draw a small comparison between Tim Elliott and him is that when Smolka's on top of his game, he's a threat, man. He does a lot of great things. He's a decent enough striker. I don't like his, skinny man stay on the outside technique, but again, he gets the job done. He showed in his last fight against Ryan McDonald, who's the most punchable guy in UFC history. Again, his striking is not bad. His wrestling, not bad. He wrestled in high school, not collegiately, but he's made a grind of being able to take down lesser opponents. And as far as him actually getting top control, establishing top control on you, guy's a slick grappler. Where he's inconsistent is, I guess, he dealt with substance abuse for a long time. I shouldn't say substance abuse. He was drinking. I don't know that. I'm drinking right now. So
sometimes one leads to the other.
The guy too much. Go ahead.
I said sometimes one leads to the other, Cody.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point too. But since he got custody of his child and he moved to Team Oyama full time, you do see the improvements in his game. Where I fully believe that Casey Kenney is the favorite is that Louis Smolka's takedown defense is just a fucking problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem. And again, I go back to that skinny man build is that when you're 5'9" fighting at 125 is worse than 135. But when you're fighting at such a light weight class and you're a tall, slender built guy, it's harder to take, obviously it's tough takedowns, but it's increasingly difficult to get back up. And a guy like Casey Kenney that wrestled D2 but was a good wrestler in college anyways, and it was also a judo black belt, he's going to have ways to get this fight to the ground. Where he's not going to get the fight to the ground is when he's taking on Merab Dvalishvili. But this is a big style change, man. You can't go from fighting Merab to fighting Louis Smolka and expect the same thing, he's going to get these takedowns. When he gets these takedowns, him and Smolka are pretty comparable as far as the grappling goes. However, 270, no matter how you chalk it up, is a big price tag. If they open this line at 185, then you bet them.
Mm-hmm.
If they, as the line starts to move, it gets to 225, maybe you bet them. Once it gets past 235, 240, it's like you got to really look at yourself in the eye and be like, Casey Kenney fights a lot of close fights.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Ray Borg, but a lot of people thought it was a robbery. It was a close fight.
I mean,
Manny Bermuda's fight, again, it's a close fight. He fights close fights. You don't bet a 270 guy who's generally in close fights versus Louis Smolka, who, by the way, doesn't get blown out of the water. Yeah, I guess Schnell caught him in a couple fights here and there, but for the most part, it's like, again, he's a scrapper. He's got that Hawaiian mentality in fights. The price is just off. Do I think Casey Kenney wins? Yeah. Do I want to bank? Is he parlay material? Like we were talking about Roosevelt Roberts and Mackenzie Dern. Like maybe you put them together. Is Casey Kenney in that same boat? Like no, not in that same boat. I don't have that same trust for him.
I mean, I have no trust for Dern.
Else.
I think the Dern one is a little bit much, but
yeah, you're way off Dern, eh? Yeah, I'm hoping.
I'm not betting her at nearly a 5-1 favorite. That's absurd. She can't get a takedown.
Cifers, right?
She can't get a takedown. She doesn't know how to wrestle. I know you can have all the best BJJ in the world, but if you don't have striking or you don't have wrestling, like how do you set anything up? That seems to be the problem with her.
She could just fucking sit right on her ass and just pull Cifers on top of her. And one would imagine she would hit a sweep somewhere within the 2.5 minute mark and then get on top and go to work and get the round at the very least, right? So
I don't need any ifs. I don't need any ifs when I'm laying 5-1. Right. Anyway.
Fair. Well, I got Casey Kenney here, but I'm starting to scratch my head and think maybe there's an if. So I'm gonna fucking take Kenney, whatever. I'm a degenerate. 270 though, what a bad price.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, probably just steer clear. Take Kenney by decision, maybe.
At least we're not in Florida still. Because Casey Kenney, and we're going to decision when we were just in Florida there. I mean, we had Barbosa. I thought Barbosa beat Ige, so I lost that bet, and that also cost me my seat in the next round of the MMA World Championship. Single tier. Pour one out for your old boy Paul Shag here. And then Song Yadong, I had money. I had him in a parlay with Courtney Casey. I didn't think that I was going to win that decision, and that one worked out. And then I had a parlay because you were big on Gadella. And I was like, well, Cody's way better at this than I am, so why don't I just add her to a parlay? It was one of the parlays that you posted out there. So I tailed that, and I didn't really think I should have won that decision. So the funny thing about all of it is that on the really, really close decisions, I went 2-1, and the two decisions that I won were the ones that I thought I lost, and the one that I thought I won. That's just how this game goes sometimes, though. It's absolutely nuts. All right, final fight. We've got Chris Gutierrez taking on Vince Morales. Pretty much a straight pick 'em here. Who you got?
Yeah, geez, I got to go with Gutierrez all day. I was actually kind of surprised about the line. Like, wow, I don't know. Am I missing something? Like, I'm obviously going to have a look at a few more of these fights on this card come fight time. But, yeah, like, here's the thing with Chris Gutierrez is that, like, he seemingly has just really settled into this role of being a very one-dimensional counterpuncher. He just wants to stand with you. He just wants to throw hands, but he's good at that. That's what he does well. Problem is he doesn't seem to like be able to mix up the rest of his game plan together. Against Rowney Barcelos, Rowney's my boy. He ain't going to win that fight, but he gave an okay account of himself. Then he got taken down and submitted. His last two fights since then, again, like
Ryan McDonald's just
not as if,
is
well, like,
a
Ryan
softball
McDonald's,
though.
that's
Everyone wins that
fight. Yeah, and the DeFreitas fight, he got a split. It didn't look great, but I thought he won that fight. I thought personally he wins that fight for sure. Where he again struggles in that fight is he gives up 2 takedowns to Geraldo de Freitas. When he's on the ground, the guy's got trouble. Now the judges look at it, oh geez, and then they're scratching their heads. Maybe a close round is now getting favored the other way. But as far as standing with this guy clear straight up, like he's fine. That's his element. So when you look at Vince Morales, like there's not a ton to get behind, right? Vince Morales is a wrestler. That's his base. He's got a wrestling base. His head coach, Tony Franklin, shout out to Tony Freak Franklin, UFC vet, most notable for eating that dirty fucking back elbow from Anderson Silva in a cage rage fight back in the day. But he's not a particularly high level to this point. Where I find it troubling is that his little run in the UFC, right? He's 1-2 in the UFC. His first fight against Song Yadong. Song Yadong, as far as on paper, you're fighting a guy that was Yadong's debut. Maybe the second fight in the UFC. You would just know this guy's like, okay, he seemingly is just a striker. I got a wrestling base. This guy's a clean, technical cake boxer with a bit of a Sanda background. I have a wrestling base again. I'm going to take this Chinese guy down with my wrestling base. That's my key. But he effectively shoots no takedowns against Song Yadong, loses the first 2 rounds, rallies in third, doesn't matter. The fight with Ayman Zahabi's one-dimensional, man. He's a fucking striker. He likes to strike. He's got to beat AJ Black belt, but he's not very particularly good with his submissions off the back. It's like, why not just take this guy and grind him down? Doesn't take him down, effectively shoots 0 takedowns, and despite getting out or taken down, Zahabi he does nothing in the fight. So he beats Ayman Zahabi. That's what I think is carrying this line to, oh, geez, you know what? The guy's got to win over Fraz's little brother. His losses are to Benito Lopez and Song Yadong. Yeah, he's not really all that bad. It's just that even the Benito Lopez fight.
It was really close. I watched that one earlier today. Really close. And the problem with Morales in that fight is he didn't throw enough. He was losing all of round 1, and then he drops Benito Lopez. I think some of the judges may have given him that round, but yeah, he kind of just he was always second to act on so many of the exchanges, and I think that's why the judges didn't see it in his favor. Yeah, I see where you're going with the Gutierrez bet here.
Yeah, if he's not going to shoot the takedown, he's going to get outstruck. And yeah, same thing with I'm not high on Benito Lopez, by the way, but he was getting outstruck by Benito Lopez. He landed the knockdown. It is a close fight. It's a very close fight, but he loses. If he's going to try to engage in that same striking battle with Chris Gutierrez, he loses. It's a decision. This guy's actually durable. He's proven he's durable. And Gutierrez is not much of a power puncher. No. Gutierrez goes through the motions. He goes through the rhythm. He just outpunches this guy. He wins 2. Vince might do his classic Vince third round and rally. Too little, too late. 29-28, Chris Gutierrez. He gets the decision.
I'm just looking that up right now, Cody. This may be the bet of the week here on the show. Gutierrez, it's not that much more.
Wow,
I just play him. I know. I was hoping that the market would be kind of soft on that. It's only plus 140. I think I would just take, the straight pick'em price at minus 110, pay the little bit of chalk just in case he does get a finish. MMA's crazy. Shit happens, and we're fighting during a pandemic. So you never know what type of camp people had. I would eat those extra 50 cents just to have the security of just taking Gutierrez. I know he can't finish the sandwich, but what if he does this one time? I don't know if I would reach. If it was plus 200, I would have said yes. But plus 140, I don't know if that's enough to justify taking that prop, in my opinion, at least. All right, let's get to
dude. That's MMA for you. When you look at the main event, right, that Gilbert Burns fight, who would have thought Burns was going to KO Damian Maia in like under 3 minutes, right? Damian Maia's fought all the best guys, and just other than the Nate Marquardt fight fucking a decade ago, this guy's durable. And when you rewatch that fight, not even a big punch. Just like a short shot. Just fucking hits him right on the money and just floors him. It's like, holy shit. That's the stuff you don't see coming. Could Chris Gutierrez land a kick upside. Like if it surrounds his head, of course.
Yeah.
Could Vince land something? Of course. Could have we seen guys throw takedowns and knock themselves out? Yeah. It's just like it's a crazy sport. So for that, less of value for sure. But I think that the play would be, especially when you're looking at it come DraftKings, is that Gutierrez not big on finishing. Got to factor that in when you're building the roster.
All right, let's get into DraftKings then. I'll just read them off to you because I don't think you have it in front of you. Tyron Woodley, 8,800. Gilbert Burns, 7,400. Who do you like? Will you roster either one of these guys? I'm guessing, based on everything that we said earlier on, that Woodley, because of his lack of throwing, of his lack of action, really. He just likes having his back up against the cage to counter strike. I mean, he's not a great DraftKings player unless he gets that first round knockout.
Yeah, exactly. Like he just doesn't do enough leading up to it. Now, what he does have is 5 rounds, and if Burns is to gas himself out and get knocked out in the 3rd or 4th round, there'd be points for Woodley. But if Woodley's not shooting, like again, when you have that great of wrestling, if I'm rostering you on DK, I want takedown. Woodley's not going to commit to a takedown-heavy game plan. So that's points off right there. As far as the actual knockout blow, he might land 20, 30 significant strikes, not a whole lot more than that. If he does get the KO, that's what you're relying on. So if he gets you a 3rd or 4th round KO, fact is he's $8,800.
Mm-hmm.
He's just too overpriced.
Yeah.
Burns, meanwhile, again, it's going to be tough for Burns to finish Woodley, but if he can go up to 3 rounds, gasses out, and Woodley, for whatever reason, can't finish him, it's $7,400.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're going to roster one of these guys, you go Burns. The other thing is, and I know I'm going to take a lot of slack on this episode, I don't mean to, but everybody I'm seeing online, mind you, none of the people I've talked to in person, all of the people online are fucking on Woodley, like heavy. People are on Woodley. And guys I respect, good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Won't give their names out in case they don't want to. Good guys that have DM'd me and just say, hey, man, watch out. Woodley's got this. And I just do not fucking see it. So it's possible that I'm tunnel blind here. But I don't see it. I think if you're going to play one of them, it is Burns at 7,400. And that's a GPP type play because his downside is probably very not so good.
It's his downside is getting knocked out in the first round, staring up into
First, but the first couple, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Woodley, he did Robbie Lawler. Woodley hits you with the right shot. He can definitely take you out. We got Augusta Sakai taking on Blagoy Ivanov, 82 and 8,000 respectively. Anything worth a shot here? Blagoy is just, he's, in terms of the heavyweight division, Blagoy is basically, I used to say, Danielle Taylor is DraftKings cancer. Like, Blagoy is that for heavyweights. Like, guy averages 53 points a fight, and he wins quite a good number of fights. Like, his upside is seemingly like 60 points. That's not winning you a GPP. Augusta Sakai, and then the problem is that he's pretty durable. I don't know. This is an easy fight to stay away from, but I guess maybe if you think Sakai could get the early finish, he's the guy to go to here. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you take a pass on it, right? Augusto Sakai, because he does show a couple KOs on his record, especially his last fight in the UFC. Oh, geez, Marcin Tybura, former KSW champion, credible enough opponent, taking him out. But it's like, nah, man, way different. Tybura's mentally tapped out big time. And also Ivanov, again, we talked about it already, cast fucking iron. So it's like knocking out this guy's going to be a problem. So when he settles into a rhythm of not throwing those punches and not knocking the guy out, he's just not going to score enough. So the 8,200 Sakai, even though I think he gets the victory ever so slightly, I'm not looking to play that. Flip side to that on Ivanov relies getting takedowns for a lot of his points, right? If you look at the fight with Tai Tuivasa, he gets 2. Fight with Derek Lewis, he loses. Mm-hmm. So he got 3. Had he won that fight, it would have been a better scoring affair for him. So he's got to rely, again, same thing over this opponent here against Augusto Sakai. He needs to get those takedowns. If he doesn't, he's going to fall back on a 40, 50 strikes at most, like some 25 points. Like it's just not enough. So even though he's a mid-range guy, if I knew for sure he was going to be super low ownership and it was a make it or break thing, maybe you lean on him a little bit. But again, this is a close fight between Sakai. He shows 89 points as an average. Super misleading, though. Not going to happen against Ivanov. Ivanov, meanwhile, shows super low. He could, at best, have 85 points. He could, at best, have 90 points. But that's not that big 110 points, 120 points that you're looking for in those big finishes. That's a risky take at best, and his upside is not even really all that high. So probably the best case, let these other people have their bid at a heavyweight scrap because they think that probability indicates it'll be a quick finish. This one's probably going to be one of those labored out 3 rounds, huffing and puffing. You check for me right quick. What's the fight goes the distance on Sakai Ivanov?
I got so many windows up here. We've got fight goes to the distance. Fight goes to decision minus 155. So it's minus on that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Right there.
That's
you
a
go.
heavyweight
so
fight.
Even the bookmaker
with,
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a slobby. It's going to be a slobber knocker, and the odds have it close, and DK has it close. I don't think it's going to be high scoring either way, victory or defeat. Hit a pass on that.
The next one I think will be high scoring. I will be owning a lot of either Billy Quarantillo or Spike Carlyle. Probably we'll do like a 66-33 type of split type of thing. It's either Spike Carlyle early or Billy takes on and just lots of pace, volume, and hopefully you can kind of tire Spike out in round 1 and then put on the same type of clinic as before. I mean, he scored 139 points. Once he gets you to the ground, he's passing, always trying to improve his position. We've seen him do it on the Contender Series. There's obviously no DraftKings pricing on that, but that performance against, I forget the name of the guy that he took on, that performance would have been a mess. I think we said this the last time when he made his UFC debut. Like, if that fight on Contender Series was on DraftKings, like, Quarantillo would have been the highest scorer on the slate. Like, same type of thing. He gets the takedowns. He's always advancing. Kind of the type of guy that you want to be looking for in this type of format. I imagine you kind of agree. It's like Quarantillo and Spike Carlyle, both are good plays. The winner very likely scores, 90 points plus.
Yeah. I'm thinking you're going to want some upside to both of these guys. We're going with Billy as, a main play guy. If you're the type of person that plays multiple lineups, then perhaps you go with some exposure to both guys. Because, if Billy's going to lose this, maybe he gets clipped early, and then you're going to want that Spike Carlyle first-round knockout. If Billy doesn't get clipped early, one's got to believe he's just going to grind him down and, eventually get him over time. Billy's my guy for sure. The one thing Billy's going to have going against him here is that Billy's a natural 145. I mean, he's not a particularly super big guy. He's a 145er. Spike Carlyle has fought his last fight at 145, but in his career he's fought at 155 and didn't seem like overly out of place. This one is a catchweight to 150. That'll play more towards Spike Carlyle, getting those additional 5 pounds on Billy, in that maybe he's going to be able to stand him up. Maybe his punches are going to do a little more damage. Maybe he's not going to tire as much as we need to get. But Billy's been good to us, man. And I think it's a career of people overlooking him, right? Because you got to remember here, we hit Billy on Contender Series. He's plus 185 against who? Kamuela Kirk? Who the fuck was that,
Yeah,
right?
something like that, yeah.
But Billy put it on his ass as a plus 185. So it's like, oh, dude, sick. You hit nice dog money. Then he comes to the UFC and he's like massive favorite over Jacob Kilburn, but he put it on his ass. Now he's getting Spike Carlyle. It's like, okay, he's finally come down to that mid-range. People are on him, but not fully on him. But I think this guy's good, man. I do think this guy's good. Not only do I have him obviously straight money line 170, but I like the DK a lot more. I mean, $8,600. The upside is, if he puts it on Carlyle and gets a finish, why could he not score close to that 139? Even if he doesn't score 139, if he was 100-plus points,
you're laughing.
That's all you want out of him. And the last thing I got to say with him is, like, how many guys, when you look at the numbers, this was actually odd, but how many guys scored 77 significant strikes through, like, a round and a half? Like,
exactly.
Not only did he just go out there and smoke through Jacob Kilburn, but it's not even like you're saying, he passes.
9
he
passes.
5 submission attempts. Yeah. DK doesn't give you submission attempts, right? He got the 9 passes. He tried to submit him 5 fucking times and landed 74 significant strikes to Jacob Kilburn's 3. Mind you, that fight was 8 minutes. It was a little more than 8 minutes, and that's what he did. It threw 8 minutes. Now, Spike Carlyle is going to post more variables. The extra 5 pounds will help him, but I think Billy gets the job done. And if you are backing Billy, then you've got to think on DK he comes through. So $8,600 for me, no-brainer. For you, decide what you want to do. But he's the kind of guy I'm looking for.
All right, we're going to play this one a little bit different. Roosevelt Roberts is 9,200. Mackenzie Dern is 9,300. Who are you paying up for and why?
Roosevelt Roberts, Brock Weaver proved in his last fight against Kazula Vargas that he would have got finished in the first round regardless of that knee hitting. He just had to keep going. I consider that Roosevelt Roberts is a much better fighter than Kazula Vargas. I think he gets him in the first round or two. The problem with Mackenzie Dern is that she's going to rely strictly on the ground game. And like you saying, she's not a great wrestler. So she's going to have to kind of grind and make Cifers make mistakes. Cifers won't make the mistake right away. So you have to cause that mistake. And that's going to take more time. Also, when the fight does hit the ground, she's going to be very slow. She's going to just look to take her time, set up the position. It's that old saying, position before submission. Position before submission. Fuck that. I want Roosevelt Roberts punching right through this guy's head before the referees and has 2 seconds to think about it. Stop it. Get me the finish. I think Roosevelt Roberts gets it done earlier. And again, he could submit Brock Weaver, but I think he gets it done with the TKO. So I would say I'm more willing to pay up for him.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. We got Antonino versus Chookagian. I mean, I played Valentina against Chookagian, but 99.9% of the time, we avoid a Chookagian fight like the plague because everyone's keeping about... Chookagian was social distancing before social distancing was the norm, Cody. Chookagian fights from range. Let's just say that. This is a fight I'll be avoiding on DraftKings entirely. What about you?
Yeah, and not only you've actually always driven this point home, where it's like you don't want to roster Katlyn Chookagian. Maybe you think she's going to win, but she just doesn't land enough to make it worth your while on DK. You look through her DK roster record, and it's the same thing. She's routinely putting up 60, maybe 70 points. These are all wins, by the way. 60, 70 points. Well, you're never going to get her for $6,000. You're never going to get her for $7,000. She's always more than that, and you just never quite get up to that. The thing that people don't take into consideration, this is the point that I drive home, is that it's also likewise hard to score against her because she's just always on the move. She's always backing up. She's always just getting out of the way. You look at former opponents on her, like outside of Joanne Calderwood, nobody's really put up big numbers on her because she's just in and out, in and out, in and out. Nothing's really significant enough. So not only do I just not recommend rostering Chookagian, I'm not huge on rostering Shevchenko for the same reason of if you're just landing a couple left hooks and a couple jabs and a couple leg kicks here and there,
it's going to be tough to get to 85 points.
No takedowns, right? No knockout, presumably. We talked earlier about, Anthony Shevchenko doesn't have that finishing ability. Katlyn Chookagian, outside of losing to the better of the two Shevchenkos, not one to get KO'd. Chances are this is going to be a dull 3-round affair of just, pure back and forth striking. Both sides land. One got 80, one gets 60. The losing fighter in defeat gets 30 points. Winning fighter in a victory gets 75 points. And she said, it's just not worth it. It's just a low-scoring affair. I think I would just hit at a pass from both sides, especially on Shevchenko because she's 8,500. But even the flip side to Chookagian is 7,700. But she maybe gets me 70 points.
Yeah.
Like that's
like best case scenario. You're getting 70 points from her in a decision. Like maybe you could play a cash game if you think that Shevchenko can't get the finish, and at least you think that you're going to get 3 rounds of Chookagian. I can see that argument, but I mean, I don't play that way. I play to win or to win all the bucks, and I never win all the bucks, or not win all the bucks. And neither one of those competitors are. If they end up in the optimal lineup, good on them, but I'm not expecting it. We got Daniel Rodriguez, obviously going to be the most owned guy on the slate, and I can't really poke too many holes in that. If I'm being completely honest, it's just an absolute misprice for obvious reasons that it was a late add to the card. Minus 350 favorite at 7,300. Do you just lock it in?
Well, yeah, it's a little stupid, Because they don't even have odds out for Green yet.
Green doesn't even have a price. No.
No, I know. They'll add him, and I assume they'll add him at like what,
7,000? Yeah, something like that.
I would think 7. Yeah, I would think 7 because of last week when that happened, right? 2 weeks, whatever the fuck last year. It was the same thing. It was like, is everybody gonna be on Giga Chikadze because he's $7,000? I was like, yeah, I would assume so. This one at least has a much higher variable. Like Giga, just went through the motions, got the decision, didn't have like a record-shattering points. You could have probably gotten away from rostering him. I don't see that being the case here in Daniel Rodriguez. I think that Gabriel Green is a do-or-die fighter. He goes for it, right? In doing that, he's going to force Daniel Rodriguez's hand. Rodriguez will eventually get it. Tim Means brought the fight right to Rodriguez and had a lot of success. Unfortunately, it's like Rodriguez just showed he's durable enough. He's got a good ground game. He's got good striking. He's got a good chin. He's got some perseverance. He's got good cardio. He's got a lot of things you like. Him and Kevin Holland would have been interesting. He would have been the underdog to Kevin Holland. But given that he's got not very good wrestling, but a good ground game, it would have been interesting. Like, could he get Kevin Holland to the ground? How's the striking going to go? Kevin Holland just fought, a few days ago. Like, he looked really good. It's interesting. Gabriel Green's undersized. I think he's going to go out there, guns ablaze, get the job done. To bring it back to that Giga Chikadze fight, like, one thing, even though Irvin Rivera never got knocked out, one thing is, like, that guy fought the entire fight like, hey, was never going to make the UFC. Might as well just have some fun. And you could tell he was having some fun. He was a lesser talented guy, and he was half the size, but he was just out there having some fun. I got a contract out of this. Gabriel Green's going to go out there. He's going to throw hands. He's going to try to get the job done. But beyond that, if it's a tough first round and it gets into the second and it gets into the third, Rodriguez's side is going to prevail. I think you go for it. I think that if he was, let's say, just for the sake of it, he was $9,000,
which
right?
he should be based on
I
his
think
odds.
that you would have a strong debate here of being like, you know what? I like him more than I like Casey Kenney. I don't like him as much as I like Roosevelt Roberts. I could be talked into liking him more than I like Mackenzie Dern.
Mm-hmm.
But he's right in there with those optimal picks.
Yeah.
You're considering him. He might be better than 2. He might not be better than 2, but he's right in that mix. Now that he's 7,300, there's no debate. Like, if you're playing 10 lineups, he's on 9 of them just in case he slips on a banana peel and shatters his fucking ACL.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, he's for the price tag. Like, you got to roll it, and you got to assume he's gonna be very high ownership as well.
Yeah, he's basically a free square. I mean, the ultimate contrarian play is to play the other side of it, but I won't be doing that. We have Jamal Hill and Klidson Abreu. Hill 84. I mean, I guess he has like 100 significant strike upside. Probably not many knockdowns. Klidson Abreu, if he fights the smart fight here, is going in looking for takedowns, but he fights at kind of a slower pace. Very, very live if he's not able to get those takedowns or he doesn't commit to those takedowns to lose a decision based on just getting out-volumed. Considering Abreu, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, I would consider Abreu as well. However, it's just very low scoring. Like, I take it back to the Sam Alvey fight. He got the one takedown, but it was a lot of cage control. Hold the guy against the cage, pitter-patter, not a ton coming out of it. So in that fight, he comes in at 8,600 because he's a big favorite over Sam Alvey, but he puts up 56 points. Just wasn't a huge scoring affair, so to speak. When I look at this one, I see a lot of the same thing. Like Jamal Hill, the best way to beat this guy is to get him up against the cage, neutralize his mobility from the outside, get him up against the cage, grind him, get him to the ground. That's your path to victory. That's not necessarily the highest scoring thing because he's not going to put up 8 takedowns against him. He might put up 3 or 4 takedowns, best case scenario. But then a lot of the other stuff will be making sure he doesn't pop back up, holding him to the ground, pitter-patter strikes. My personal play on this one is Klidson Abreu. He's a low score, especially in the type of fight he's going to need to fight to get this victory. It would have to be a low-scoring affair. Hill, meanwhile, maybe he's got that big power, but Abreu's been cracked by good guys before. Hill doesn't get that finish. He stays on the outside and he just chips away at him. He could be a decent play. And $8,400 is right around that range of like, is he going to score 100 significant strikes to get me that 80 points? Because mind you, that's all it's going to be against against Stoicic, Darko Stoicic. Sorry, that's again. It just shows he's more of a boxer. He's more of a stay to the outside and box you up. He landed 100 strikes in that fight, right? Imagine Abreu doesn't just stand on the outside. Imagine Abreu forces him up against the cage. It's harder to land those 160 strikes. But that's all he's going to get because he's not going to get.
Darko
I don't
took him
think
down.
knockdowns out of it. He's not going to get takedowns. He's not going to get any of that.
Darko got 6 takedowns.
It's interesting.
6 takedowns.
Yeah, but Darko couldn't hold him down to save his life. That was
No,
his
I know,
biggest
but
problem.
Darko's
Hill just got back up.
Darko's not exactly like that's pretty spectacular for Darko to get 6 takedowns in a fight. I think that may say that you may not need the best wrestling to be able to employ that game plan. Whether Klidson has that wrestling is a different story, though. But taking down Sam Alvey, I'd have to look at that takedown again, see what actually really happened and how it was scored. But just taking down Sam Alvey means a lot to me. All right, let's keep moving. We got Elliott versus Royval. We kind of talked about this one earlier. Could be an absolute scramble fest, a fight that I'm very interested in. Like the Quarantillo Spike Carlyle, and then this fight, I want the winner from that, and then you lock Daniel Rodriguez. So you kind of have half of your roster right there. That's kind of how my build. And then I really like Roberts. So kind of like a Roberts, Quarantillo, Elliott, Rodriguez. I have no idea what that leaves you with, but that's probably my core this week. Yeah, Elliott versus Royval. Very, very high potential for like lots of scrambles and lots of crazy ground game, and that just adds up on DraftKings. And we both seem to like Elliott. We don't really trust him, but I'm willing to take that extra risk on guys I don't exactly trust on DraftKings rather than laying wagers on them. So I'll be rostering a lot of Tim Elliott, probably a little bit of Royval. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you can save a lot of money this week, definitely, because you got cheap plays like a Gilbert Burns if you wanted him. Like, obviously, Rodriguez shouldn't be a cheap play, but he is, so you have that available to you. And a Brandon Royval. Royval's going to be like, I don't want to call him a punt, but for $7,500, I think he's the kind of guy that could make or break a big GPP. Because Tim Elliott is going to take the higher ownership. He's got that history. He's got that pedigree.
He scored 175 points in one fight before. That was
Smolka, right? He had 12 takedowns.
And like Smolka scored like 80 in a loss. Like it was that fight was so absurd. It was a scramble fest. And then that record basically held firm until Max Holloway rearranged Ortega's head and landed like 300 significant strikes in a fight. That 175 points held up until that happened as like the highest that had ever been recorded on DraftKings. So like there are people out there who have won big money from Tim Elliott coming through for them on DraftKings.
Yeah, and again, I think he'd be a wild card if he was cheap. Then you could rely on him and be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe Elliott goes out there and puts in a classic Elliott performance, puts it on. Maybe I score 10 points. Fuck yeah, that'd be great. My thing is that like I'm just not convinced in this guy. I can't back him confidently. I can't back him for my dollar. And honestly, Royval's a very opportunistic guy. So whereas like we've seen a Ben Nguyen catch him off guard, oh geez, caught him in that quick rear naked choke, and we've seen him. His last fight, he gets completely bopped up standing through his own misjudgments. Like, what are you doing, man? But he does it. And then the win fight's like a slight mishap, but he does it. My thing with Royval is Royval can crack standing, but like you were talking about, the guy's very confident in his ground game. So, you know what? Maybe he loses this fight, but it's going to be a fun fight either way. And what I'm saying is that if he wins this fight, he's going to sure to guarantee he's going to put up a lot of fights. Because Tim Elliott forces your hand. Hard to beat Tim Elliott and score nothing, man. Let's face it. True. The guy brings it. You can't take him down and hold him down. He gets back up. You can't stand there and throw a couple punches. He's marching forward. He's going to cause you to score a lot of points. At $7,500, Royval wins this fight. He's going to score a lot.
Yep.
And I think that's where, if you're playing a GBP and he's low ownership, I think you go for him. I think you take a chance on him, at least in a few lineups. Playing multiple lineups. If you're going for one lineup, you play cash game, don't touch him. Playing GBP, fuck it, man. Have a chance on Brandon Royval.
Mm-hmm. We got Casey Kenney versus Louis Smolka. Anybody you're targeting here for DraftKings purposes?
Yeah, Casey Kenney's expensive, and I think that Casey Kenney could score up to that just because, we go back to Tim Elliott versus Louis Smolka. It's like one thing about Smolka is he's very easy to take down. Dude scrambles a lot, right? He's in a lot of these crazy fights as well, where he'll put up 100-plus points, even just like 80 points in defeats. It's like, oh, man, how many guys do that? But he's keep going for it. Whereas Casey Kenney, because he's got that wrestling base, because he's got that judo base, he's more than capable of taking you down. But he also, he gets a lot of advances. One thing I've noticed with Smolka, a lot of his fights, they look like jiu-jitsu matches, right? Like, there's no point scoring. It's like submission-only grappling. The guy will take him down, and he just almost seemingly lets the guy pass so he can create a scramble. Whereas like Casey Kenney loves to scramble. Smolka has allowed opponents who are good wrestlers and better scramblers than him to score a ton based on that. So when I look at Casey Kenney on the straight money line, he's a big favorite, 270, tad bit too much for me. But look at DraftKings. He's got high upside, especially if I've got so much money on the table, it comes between him and Dern. I'm leaning towards him because whereas Dern's just going to get that one position and she's smart enough to just stick in that position, if Casey Kenney gets Smolka down, Smolka's going to scramble and they're going to move and they're going to float, and that's going to score a lot of points. So I would be favored towards Casey Kenney here. Cool. And if you're a Smolka guy and you think he's going to win, again, he will score points. Maybe go in that direction. But I got Kenney.
And then the final fight here, Gutierrez versus Morales. Like, Gutierrez is coming off of a 2-fight win streak right now. Scored 64 points against Ryan McDonald and then scored 64 points in his last fight. 64 points. Like, if you're scoring 64 points against Ryan McDonald, I'm sorry, 64 points is your ceiling. That's about all you could expect from him in this situation, I think, for the most, unless there's, an unexpected knockout. We were already talking about how we think that this fight goes to decision, how we think Chris Gutierrez wins the fight by decision. Vince Morales scored 59 points in his only win, his win over Ayman Zahabi, and he scored like 37 and 40 or so in his 2 losses. Like, these guys are not high scorers. It's stand-up affair usually. This is an easy fight just to not roster.
You know what? When you're looking, especially tackling down a big GPP, you're looking for 2 things. I'm either going to get a finish in this fight, or I'm just going to get tons of scrambles, takedowns, action-packed fight, scrap it up that way. That's what you're looking for. This has neither of those things.
None of it.
The likelihood of either guy getting a finish, it's low. The likelihood of either guy just getting a bunch of takedowns, also very low. Vince Morales is a wrestler, and yet he's not even attempted 1 takedown through 3 UFC fights, all 3 of which were against guys he presumably had a wrestling advantage over. So you can't think he's going to get down to that. You think probably maybe he'll land 40 significant strikes versus a guy named Chris Gutierrez who's likely to land 60 significant strikes. And now we've got a close enough decision that goes Gutierrez's way, but it's not going to be good for your DK. It'd be okay for your money line Gutierrez by decision. That'd be fine, but you don't want that on DraftKings.
And finally, Cody, it's the moment probably like half of our viewers just skip right to it so they don't have to listen to me. Hit them with the PRP.
All right, gonna hit them with the PRP. Gotta see how many dogs we got on this bitch. Okay, yeah. So right off the hop, we're gonna go fucking Gilbert Burns. Fuck it, let's go. That's gonna be a dog number 1. We're gonna go to Sakai. I don't love it, but he's a favorite technically. Daniel Rodriguez. We're gonna take Roosevelt Roberts, Mackenzie Dern, Caitlin Chookagian. That's gonna be dog number 2. Billy Alday, 35. What's up? Clifton Abreu is gonna be dog number 3. Brandon Royval is gonna be dog number 4. Casey Kenney, big favorite, and Chris Gutierrez is even money. So we got 4 dogs out of 11, a couple of even money fights. And
money-making opportunities.
Yeah. You know, I used to say quarantine card, but yeah, I look at this card.
Oh, no,
I mean, totally smoked out of proportion, yeah.
Yeah, there's just not like the same, there's not the name value on. Like, man, trust me, I am looking forward to this card. If this was, I look forward to most cards, and I enjoy watching all cards. This card is the first one since we got onto quarantine that's like, all right, they're grasping at straws. Now, it's nothing like a main event between Cynthia Calvillo and who did they book in the main event there? There's like a main event that's just absurd.
Listen, the fight announcements have been so fucking left and right.
Calvillo is main eventing against somebody on a UFC card. Like, that's a thing that is happening. I can't believe you didn't hear this. Calvillo.
Wow, is it main eventing for real or what?
For real. They said we'll be headlining. They used the word headlining. Jessica I versus Cynthia Calvillo is headlining a card on June 13th. Woof. I can see why this is happening when you start looking down this card. Ooh, that's ugly.
Yeah. Okay,
I think this was supposed to be like the Russia card. It's supposed to be like a Russia card or something. There's a whole bunch of Russians that were supposed to be on this, but are obviously off due to coronavirus and not being able to travel. But yeah, this is a big time woof. When you look, you should really look at this when we're done. Oh boy. This is putting Smolka versus Holohan, that card. This is putting that up. It's giving it its run for its money for sure. Anyway,
I know. I wonder what the angle is on that one.
What do you think? Yeah, Jessica I must know something. She's seen shit or something behind the closed doors because they like giving that girl a lot of opportunity. 5-round main event. Yeah, don't say that. I know exactly what you're gonna say. 5-round main event. Cynthia Calvillo. Cynthia. I know you haven't been drinking in a couple hours now, but that's not. We did so good getting to this point without something that I have to bleep out. 5-round main event, Cody. Cynthia Calvillo, Jessica I, woof. I'm sorry. Carl Roberson versus Marvin Vettori got moved to that card too. I mean, like that's more of a main event to me. I know those guys probably don't want to fight for 5 rounds, but absurd. We'll complain about that card when we get to it. Anyway, any final thoughts before we let the people go here?
No, I mean, we were betting Cage Warriors a month ago, so like, whatever they give us, we'll fucking take it. Let's be honest here. Who gives a shit? Yeah, that's about it. It looks like a pretty decent card all around. Should be a good Saturday. Yeah, hopefully they just keep doing their thing. I don't know, man. I haven't really been paying enough attention to. They are going small cage, and like when I do all my tape research, there's like 1 or 2 fights I think be affected by it. But I don't know. That could be I wouldn't want to say deal breaker, but it
if you're
change
Brock,
a lot of things.
that
Like,
probably
you gotta
hurts.
realize they go big. They go big cage fucking almost everywhere they go. So them dropping in the small cage, I don't know. Maybe it affects a couple things here and there. I feel pretty confident with the plays though.
I mean, small cage usually affects like heavyweights because you just can't get away. So like Andrei Arlovsky in a small cage, gonna have a bad time because he's not able to use this. It's a little bit less effective for him to like circle on the outside. A guy like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he just covers a lot of territory. He probably hates the small cage himself. Roosevelt Roberts, who's going to be looking probably for a takedown because he knows he's got a big advantage on the ground over Brock Weaver. Could be a big advantage. As much as I don't want to bet Dern, I have to realize that small cage could be very helpful for her. It's just like, less space for Hannah Cifers to get away.
Exactly.
Otherwise, the rest
like
of them, I don't know if it's going to affect it all that much. Maybe Klidson versus Jamal Hill, because Hill likes to stay on the outside, circle away. But yeah, those are kind of the fights that I think would really be affected by the small cage. But we haven't really seen a small cage in a long time, so I remember it used to be such a consistent thing. It's like every single week, you're like small cage, big cage. They would move 2 cages around the country type of thing, and you would never know. You'd always have to ask, like, there would people be asking like John Anik or whatever to confirm for them on Twitter. So yeah, it's been a while since we've seen it. Yeah. I think there's a few fights that definitely could be affected by it, but I guess we will find on Saturday night. That is it for us.
Yeah, exactly. We'll watch weigh-ins, and then you'll have a better judgment from there, and we'll figure it out. But yeah, it felt good.
All right, well, that wraps it up for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody Saftic, I am Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!